I was 14 when I realized I was just a footnote in my own family's story. It wasn't a sudden epiphany, more like a slow, bruising awareness that settled into my bones over years of birthday mornings forgotten, soccer games with no one in the stands, and empty chairs at parent-teacher conferences. My sister, Chloe, was the golden one, the miracle child after Mom had a difficult miscarriage. She arrived like a ray of light, and I was the flicker they stopped noticing once the sun came up. Chloe had it all: private tutors, violin lessons, a new phone every year, and a room that looked like something off a Pinterest board. Me? I shared a room with the laundry and was told hand-me-downs build character. I didn't mind at first. Not really. I told myself they just had to work harder after Chloe was born, that I was older and stronger and didn't need as much. But it's hard to ignore the contrast when you're riding a beat-up bike to school and your sister gets dropped off in a chauffeured Audi for violin recitals she never even practiced for. My dad used to say, "We're raising two kids, not a competition." But it always felt like a contest I didn't sign up for. One where the judges had already decided the winner before I even stepped onto the stage. Then came the Christmas before Chloe turned 18. I had just gotten into a local college on scholarship, having worked part-time since I was 15 and kept a 4.0 GPA while helping out with house chores and Chloe's homework, but all that seemed invisible to them. That morning, I woke up early, out of habit, not excitement. I wasn't expecting much. A card, maybe. A new hoodie if I was lucky. But there it was, wrapped in silver paper, a ribbon the size of a football sitting in the driveway, a brand new Lexus. I didn't even need to ask. Chloe screamed and ran toward it like she was auditioning for a commercial. My parents followed with beaming faces, snapping photos, and telling her to pose with the bow. I stood behind the curtain of the living room window, watching, waiting, hoping like an idiot. Eventually, Dad turned around and said, "We didn't forget you." He reached into the garage and rolled out a bicycle, a used one, with a flat tire. "You can ride this to your college classes." It wasn't the car. It wasn't even the bike. It was the sentence that came next. "You're more practical anyway. Chloe needs something flashy to get to her internship. You don't care about that stuff." Right. I didn't care. I bit down hard on the inside of my cheek and nodded. "Thanks," I said. I spent the rest of the day holed up in the attic, watching the snow fall through a small circular window, wrapping my disappointment in silence like it was a gift I never asked for but had to pretend to love. But in that silence, something cracked open. Not a breakdown, more like a blueprint. I started planning, quietly, methodically. Every "you're stronger" or "you're used to less" became fuel. I took more shifts at the campus bookstore, learned coding on the side, and launched a side hustle fixing people's broken websites. When I wasn't studying or working, I was learning. Taxes, investments, flipping used tech, buying into stocks everyone else laughed at. I graduated early, with honors. Chloe? She dropped out of her internship because it was too stressful and took a gap year. My parents still didn't notice. They sent her to Bali to recover from burnout. Meanwhile, I moved into a shoebox apartment, worked in my car between classes, and eventually pitched my tech service to a small investor. It wasn't much at first, but it grew. Slowly, steadily. The quiet, invisible grind I'd honed for years suddenly bloomed into a business worth noticing. And I made sure the first person to notice it was me. By Christmas of my senior year in college, things had changed, radically. I didn't ride that bike anymore. I didn't need to. I drove something else now. But that part of the story comes next. Christmas morning came again, exactly 1 year later, but this time I didn't wake up in a cramped apartment with snow leaking through the window panes. I woke up in a high-rise suite overlooking the skyline, floor-to-ceiling glass windows and underfloor heating warming the life I had built from scraps they left behind. My company had just secured a 6-figure contract with a global cybersecurity firm. I had 5 employees, a growing reputation, and a custom-ordered Bentley Continental GT waiting downstairs, a reward I gave myself the day I signed my first $1 million deal. It wasn't about the money. It was about no longer needing to knock on locked doors hoping someone would let me in. But this Christmas, I had decided I would go back home. Not because I missed them, but because I wanted them to see. I didn't call, I didn't text, I just drove. The roads were quiet, dusted in soft snow, and the drive felt like floating through a forgotten chapter of my past. When I pulled into the same driveway where they once gave my sister a Lexus and handed me a used bicycle, the garage door was open. The same broken lawn chair sat inside. The same old bike hung crooked on the wall. Chloe's Lexus was nowhere to be seen. Apparently, she had wrecked it last summer and blamed the brakes. My parents covered it under their insurance and let her borrow their SUV. She had since moved back in after the stress of travel became too much to handle. My mom now referred to her as a delicate soul. I walked to the door, knocked, and waited. Dad opened it. His eyes flicked to the car parked behind me, a black Bentley that shimmered against the white snow. He blinked, confused. Is that a rental? I just smiled. No, it's mine. Chloe came down the stairs in designer pajamas, my guess, another gift from them. Oh, wow, she sneered. Did you win a contest or something? I laughed. In a way. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Mom walked in from the kitchen and froze mid-step. She held a mixing bowl in one hand and in the other, the same look of pleasant disappointment she'd always worn when looking at me. But this time, it cracked. What are you doing here? She asked. I didn't answer right away. I just looked around the living room, still decorated the same, the tree stuffed with color-coordinated presents. I spotted one with my name on it, probably socks, maybe a mug. I thought I'd bring my gift this time, I said, reaching into my coat pocket and pulling out a white envelope. What is it? My dad asked warily. I handed it to him. He opened it, unfolded the document, and read it. His face drained. What is this? It's a deed, I said. To this house. Chloe gasped. Mom dropped the mixing bowl. It shattered against the tile. I bought it, I said calmly. 3 weeks ago. I didn't want to mention it until the paperwork was finalized. You bought our house? My mom barked. You think you can just show up and— No, I interrupted. I know I can. Because I did. The bank accepted my offer. The house was on the verge of foreclosure, Mom. Guess those trips to Bali weren't free after all, huh? You can't just kick us out, Chloe snapped. Actually, I said, pulling out another envelope. These are the notices. You have 30 days. Dad was still silent, still holding the paper like it was foreign. You've always said I was the practical one, I said. So I made practical moves. You raised a businesswoman without even realizing it. Chloe threw her hands up. This is insane. You're being vindictive. No, I said, stepping toward the door. I'm just returning the favor. Remember last Christmas? I do. Every pedal on that bike, every sleepless night, every "you're used to less." I remembered. Mom was red with fury now, shaking. We gave you a roof, food, and this is how you repay us? I turned back one last time. You gave me the basement. You gave her the world. I just bought the land you built it on. I walked out as they stood frozen and stepped into my Bentley with a deep, slow breath. The engine purred to life, soft and powerful, just like I had become. Then I drove past them. On Christmas morning, like they never existed. A few weeks later, the house was officially mine, legally, emotionally, and symbolically. My parents didn't say goodbye when they left. Chloe posted cryptic messages online about betrayal and ungrateful family, pretending she had been wronged. But I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I spent the first night alone in that house, walking room by room, letting the silence wrap around me. I touched the walls they'd once used to isolate me, stared at the corner where my childhood desk used to be, and opened the closet they once told me was all the space I needed. It felt like walking through the skeleton of an old war. But I wasn't the same girl they used to ignore. A month later, the same town that had watched me pedal that rusted bike in shame now lined up outside my new office building, my company's headquarters, built in the same district they once mocked for being beyond your reach. It had my name on it, big, bold, permanent. And at the grand opening during a media interview, a journalist leaned in and asked, "What inspired you to start this?" I smiled slowly. A bicycle and a Bentley. But that wasn't the twist. A few days after the story went viral, I received a letter, handwritten, from my grandmother, the one they always claimed had left nothing behind when she passed. But inside that envelope was a copy of her original will. It clearly stated, "My savings, stocks, and jewelry shall go to my first grandchild, the one who always made the effort to visit, even when no one else cared." Enclosed was the account number. 7 figures. They had lied. They always knew. And now, all that inheritance? Already transferred, already invested, already mine. Just like the justice they never saw coming. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.